Hey, this is Justin.
Hey, this is Alonzo.
We're from Unsound Society Presents, and this is the top 20
Ministry Badass Moments.
Yes, Ministry is one of our favorite bands of all time. We've been a fan for, say, 15 years. We're not that old.
Yeah.
We weren't into the very beginnings of Ministry, but here we are. We've been fans long enough, and to this day, we are still fans, and they're still around.
I mean, it's just nice to have a band that is willing to wait around till we show up.
Yeah, Al is the kind of guy that just won't die. He can do anything.
Yeah, he can get bit by a recluse spider while high on heroin and still survive.
I thought that was the worst story of Al until that documentary came out, the Fix documentary.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm still waiting for that first episode of the 666 Club.
Well, you have to see the documentary to get that one, but man, he has some great stories to tell while he's on heroin.
And that's one of those things, though, too. Like, I'm not for heroin, but I will admit I have definitely seen some of the most charismatic just things from him, particularly on heroin. You've seen Phil Ansel on heroin. He looks like a zombie walking. You see Al Jourgensen on heroin. You're like,
where's the party?
Yeah, you're like, tell me more.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea from the book and the documentaries. Al just it was questionable whether he was that character or he had to drink and do drugs to become that character. But either way, who cares? He's fucking awesome, and we love him. He's great. So to start off here, our top 20 list. We want to start with something with a bang, and this one has it. What is it called?
Psalm 69.
Psalm 69. It's a fucking awesome song. So in this particular song, we cut out the best part of the song and even did a little editing to kind of really move it along so it doesn't go on too long. We could play the whole song. The whole song's awesome, but we did some editing, and we want to start this podcast-ish, whatever we're doing here. We just felt we needed to put some vocals over these tracks to kind of explain why we picked these tracks, because they're not, we didn't just pick the best riffs or the best screams, you know. These are just the parts where, say you're in the car, this part comes on, you gotta turn it up. But alright, this is Psalm 69. It's from 1992. The album was Psalm 69.
The Way to Succeed and The Way to Suck Eggs.
So here we are with our first edited track from Ministry. Please open your prayer guides and open... Shit, I fucked it up.
The Book of Revelations, Psalm 69.
Psalm 69.
69.
And now, it's time for us to give a little love back to God.
Psalm 69.
Praise the Lord. That was Psalm 69 by Ministry, a badass track. So, going forward, we're gonna hit number 2 in our list, and that track is...
You Know What You Are, from The Land of Rape and Honey, from the year 1988. Yes, we're going back quite a few years.
Taking it back. Not so much back farther from Psalm 69, but you know, it's his earlier days when he's into the synth sound, which was pretty awesome, inspiring. Trent Reznor obviously was a big fan of that era of Ministry. When I hear that song, I think of Mr. Self-Destruct. That's where I hear that synth. Just reminds me of Mr. Self-Destruct. Of course, Trent took it to new levels, but this is a badass track.
Yeah, and that's the way I look at it. You have to create a sketch before you can create a drawing, and I think Al created the sketch that would be Trent's drawing.
Fucking A. I like that. Alright, so this is off the Land of Rape and Honey. We'll just go ahead and go right into it. We don't have much to say about it. It's a great track. Oh, one thing I have to say, every time I hear this song, I don't know why, everyone must agree with me, but the guy yelling, "You know what you are," it sounds like the guy who yelled Mortal Kombat in, I believe, was it the video game or the...
Yeah, it was a commercial for the video game when it came out for the consoles.
Mortal Kombat!
Yeah, and actually, what was it, the theme song for the movie Mortal Kombat? They used that same sound sample.
Okay, so I'm sure everyone agrees with me. I don't know, it sounds like it to me. So we're gonna go and play it, and is this edited at all, or we just pull it apart from the track? I don't know, who cares? Here it is. Yes, indeed. You know who you are. That was, you know what you are.
Yes, Ministry.
Whatever. You know who you are. You don't need us to tell you. You know who you are. Anyway, we're going to go on to our next track. That's track number 3 from the album
Filth Pig.
1996. Controversial album. Not considered one of their greatest albums. For us, coming late to the game, we didn't have any kind of allegiance to the earlier albums. 96 was a big year for us. There was great albums coming out. There's so many we could list them. That's a whole nother list of all the great albums coming in 96. But this one's considered their tapering off album, not what people expected. I still love it. I think it's great. It's got crazy mixing on it. They were trying to go into this alternative sound. Paul Barker obviously had big influence on this album. I think Al was probably strung out somewhere. He just kind of was on call to scream some stuff, and that's why you can't understand the lyrics. So he's that's my take on it. But it's still awesome. I love it. I listened to some of the songs on this album, and I just think, man, must be what heroin feels like, because you just are trying to record an album on heroin, is what I think of when I hear Filth Pig. It's just kind of a jumbled mess, but it's awesome.
Yeah, and I will say that too, because I remember when I finally surrendered and bought a handful of Ministry albums. I bought Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste, Psalm 69, and Filth Pig. And when you sit there and listen to each album individually, you have every single album is completely different from the other. But I really do believe the difference between Psalm 69 and Filth Pig is 10 times greater than the gap between Psalm 69 and Mine is a Terrible Thing to Taste. As you said, that this is probably an album you would write while strung out on heroin, or if not at least sing on.
Yeah.
I'm sure he wrote quite a bit of stuff. I'd have to go back and look at the liner notes to figure it out, but it is one of those albums where you say oh, is this the same band that wrote Just One Fix or Jesus Put My Hot Rod?
I think everyone was saying that at the time when they heard that. They're like, we're waiting for, just like any other album, you're waiting for Psalm 69 Part 2, and it comes out, and it's totally different, and you're upset, and a lot of their fans were upset, and I think that's why they went from, flying first class to taking the bus for this album, which they talk about in the documentary. Still a great album. Yeah, not so much this is the album when you're on heroin, but it's the album where it's like you're hungover, you're strung out. This is Al strung out. I always felt what you hear like songs like Lava, you just hear he can't even form words, I love it. I don't know, so great. But Paul Barker held it together. He gets a lot of shit, from Al Jourgensen later on, but he wasn't part of Ministry. During this period, he was a part of Ministry. He was holding it together. It's the only reason they're still around. What do you think about that?
I very much think that he was Ministry from a musical standpoint, with the exception of
Al or
Paul. I mean, and I think we've had prior discussions about this, about how, at least if you felt that you could kind of dissect how Paul looks at music, he finds like a certain sound or a certain, just rhythm, and he just repeats it.
Yeah. Okay, I've heard that in earlier interviews with Al. He talks about how he loved Paul Barker's bass playing because he can play like a machine, and so Al's used to working with machines, and he finds this nerdy guy who will basically, you tell him to play a part, and he'll keep playing it. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I do to a degree feel about the whole Phil Pig album. It's one of those albums that, yes, I think about it when I first ingested what was Phil Pig. I mean, okay, yes, it was 96 when it came out, but I didn't really find out what this album was until 99. I heard a couple of songs from that album here and there, but I didn't really get it yet, and really didn't ever give them the shot that we should have.
Well, you keep talking about this, give them a shot and surrendered. Okay, so we should go ahead and talk about that. What we're talking about is we're big Nine Inch Nails fans, right? And we, for some reason, Ministry was looked at as, I don't know, it had this weird stigma attached to it. Like, for some reason, we felt like they weren't true industrial. I don't know. We just didn't understand the history at that time. So, a lot of people we knew in high school, they would say, Nine Inch Nails was the originator of industrial. And like, yeah, fuck yeah. But, I don't know. We had that feeling that, we're buying Ministry, or somehow we were selling out, which is funny, I know. But is that what you're talking about when you say surrender to albums?
Yeah, I think because there's still, at least we were probably 16, 17 when we went ahead and just said, okay, this is the band that we need to really kind of give a listen to. And I always look back to when you bought My Is a Terrible Thing to Taste. That was probably 98, 99. And, okay, I remember you played probably the song that probably anybody that's ever heard of that band, anybody that's liked that band, knows that song. And so I don't have to sit here and describe what that song's about. But okay, so right there we have okay, it's right there. That is what embodied Ministry, based on a clearer, I guess, introduction, as opposed to the song Tonight We Murder, which is on the Demon Knight soundtrack. That was my introduction to the band Ministry. I just assumed they were a metal band.
Okay. Yeah. And at that time, we were kind of hungry for new industrial, something, there was nothing new coming out, so we had to go backwards. And Nine Inch Nails, their Fragile album isn't quite doing it for us. Let's go back. Let's see what's going on in this old school industrial. And glad we did, because we found a hell of a lot of good shit. But yeah, Ministry is still tops for us. It's like, and, I don't know if it quite beats Nine Inch Nails for me. There's too much nostalgic value, too much songwriting. Yeah, so not so much in that.
Yeah, but I would say, okay, yes. When it comes down to it, as a whole, Nine Inch Nails just wins by default because Trent's a songwriter. And I'm not saying that Al isn't, and neither am I saying we don't think Al is not a songwriter. It's just not as good of a songwriter as Trent is.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. We'll probably talk about this in the Nine Inch Nails list or something, but yeah, Trent is a songwriter first, and he kind of took this industrial sound and made them into pop songs. They don't sound like pop songs because they have so much of that industrial put into them. You don't recognize it as pop songs, but they're goddamn pop songs. But we'll get into that another time. But yeah, getting back on topic, we're looking at track 3.
Track 3.
Filth Pig, 1996. Or was it 95?
No, that's the album we're talking about. The song we're talking about is Reload.
Well, yeah, I know. It's talking about the album.
I just wanted to make sure. Because unfortunately, to anybody who has absolutely no idea what we're talking about, there is a song on the Filth Pig album called Filth Pig.
Yeah, okay.
But no.
Thank you for correcting us.
Yes, and trust me, he's gonna beat me before this thing is over.
God. Whatever, dude. Anyway. Anyone who's made it this far into this podcast, whatever it is, knows what the fuck Filth Pig is on the 5th Filth Pig album. But, all right, and yeah, I don't know where the last comment came up from him. He's drinking wine, Al Jourgensen style. So here we go. We're gonna play Reload. Fucking heavy song. I don't really know. In the mix, I know live he plays the ukulele.
He plays a mandolin, isn't it?
Mandolin. Okay. And then so in this mix, you can kind of hear it, but I think it's just so buried. You know, I think that is what you're actually hearing, because you hear it just sounds like mishmash. It's just like bad, but it's awesome. But it just sounds like distorted. A big distorted mishmash of sounds, but I think the mandolin is the main one you're hearing. So we'll go ahead and play a somewhat edited version. Some of these songs, like we said, we edited down to show, like, highlight the best parts. And so here it is. Reload!
Aim.
Reload!
3, 2, 1. Roll 5.
Alright, that was Reload from the album Filth Pig, 1996. We're going to go ahead and skip ahead 10 years. What song are we going to do next?
Senor Peligro from Rio Grande Blood in 2006.
2006. Alright, yeah, this song kind of surprised us. After House of the Mole, that was Al trying to get into his groove, old school Ministry. And then he took a little bit of a turn, a little more of a heavy metal turn, I guess teaming up with Tommy Victor. And yeah, it started to get to this heavy metal. This song in particular, we kind of thought, what is this, Slayer? What did you think about it when you first started hearing this new stuff?
What's funny is the first time I heard the riff, and maybe I didn't pay attention, was there was a commercial for Houses of the Mole on MTV, and they played that intro like riff to Senor Peligro. And it's funny because and stop me if I'm going off to another direction with it, but my introduction to Senor Peligro was the main riff, not that opening riff.
Which part? What do you mean?
The main riff.
No.
I mean the main riff where Al sings over.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That it surprised me. They went really low tech on this album. They we started hearing mixes early on from this album, and it was very loud. We heard from Rantology, we heard Bloodlines and
Great Satan, and that was just mixed to the max. And they released this album with that song on there, and everything. The mix is just brought way down, but still pretty cool. I mean, our expectations were a little high, but I don't know. Still like it. Yeah, it's one of those songs where I guess regardless of maybe where our taste was or whatever, we can't deny that song just kicks ass. It's one of those songs you just have to turn up when it plays.
Yeah. All right. So unless you have anything else you want to add about this song, we'll go ahead and play just a little clip of it. We're trying to just take the little snippets of our favorite parts of these songs. So here you go. Go ahead and turn it up. Señor Peligro.
Bush's alter ego.
Oh, yeah. That was Señor Peligro from Rio Grande Blood. That was pretty awesome. Really loud track. You have to turn up, piss everyone off. That's a good track. Okay, let's head backwards a little bit. We kind of were flashing forward. Let's go back to Land of Rape and Honey. Mm-hmm. All right, what song are we gonna get from that?
The actual song, Land of Rape and Honey.
All right, that sounds good. That's I don't know. I'm probably gonna say that's my favorite song off that album. Do you agree with that, or?
I think it's definitely one of the best on there.
Okay, so you don't agree, is what you're saying?
Okay, and granted, it's just one of those things. I guess it's just based on the mood. Like, I do love You Know What You Are. I do love Land, Rape, and Honey. Those are probably my two favorites on that album. So I guess it just depends if it's a heads or tails day with me.
Okay, well, fine. But yeah, it's a great song. I don't know. I just love the sequencing in the song. I love the Nazi chant and the 1 2 1 2. That's kind of like a marching beat. I'm not sure exactly what they were going for. I think they were trying to say America is in a Nazi state. That's usually what they were going for in their early days, trying to draw parallels between America, George Bush, and Hitler, and that's pretty much the vibe I get from that song. So I think we just pulled a general clip. The song pretty much goes the same throughout the whole song. We just pulled a full clip. And do you have anything you want to add about it?
If you ever get a chance, listen to the live version in case you didn't feel like showing up. That is probably the best representation of that song. And if you don't like it after that, then you need to just go bury your head in the fucking sand or something. I don't know. Yeah,
I know it's one of those songs we actually ripped from the DVD because that version just sounds so much better than the one on the album. And it sucks that version doesn't exist on any later releases, or maybe on their greatest fits. They could, instead of another version of So What Live or whatever, could have put that version on there. That would have been great, but I guess not. All right, let's go ahead and play a little clip of that. And this is The Land of Rape and Honey. All right, cool. That was, I love that track. That was pretty awesome. Let's see, what are we going to do next?
I think we both agreed on the actual title track from the album Filth Pig.
Oh yeah, we're going to fast forward a little bit, and we've already done a track from Filth Pig, and that's a controversial album. That's an album that even Al himself said, I don't know, I was pretty drugged out on that album, and that was kind of a low point. But from where we came in with Ministry, we're fine with that album. I love that album. I don't know, it sounds great to me. Every time I listen to it, I sound like it makes me feel like I am on heroin, and you know, his garbled lyrics and all that, it just is awesome. Their experimentation, they were trying to get away from industrial for some reason. They should have just stuck with it. But I think it's a Paul Barker album. But this song in particular is really down. What do you think about this song?
Yeah, I mean, down would definitely be one of the words I would use, but I would also say raw. The song in general, that guitar, it couldn't be more raw. It's one of those things where, you know, if yeah, I mean, 'cause right about 96 when this album came out, that was the same year as Antichrist Superstar, and it's kind of funny that it's very similar to the riff for the song Little Horn, using the same notes. However, I mean, it's used totally different to where I don't really see anyone using any signs of plagiarism. It's a different song. It's very slow. It's very very dirty, and when you actually get down to dissecting the lyrics about the song, Owl's coming from a very dark place in there, and you can actually see and this is my interpretation, that he's actually speaking on his own experience of just being like, maybe as far as his involvement with drugs and with like just being in music is. Because like the very first lyric is, I started out younger at things that people start younger at.
Oh wow. And see, I never even knew what the fuck he was talking about. I couldn't understand a word he was saying. You actually broke it down. You got some kind of you know, interpretation out of that song. All right, go ahead and continue. I'm interested in this.
Oh God, what is it? And this is where I feel like he's talking about becoming famous. What is it? 1,000 days and nights of getting overexposed.
All right.
That's the way I'm taking it. That maybe he's talking about like he's not liking fame, and so maybe he's conveying that he's miserable about being famous.
All right.
And so he's just doing more drugs because it numbs him from being emotional.
And then, so he's just a filthy pig.
I think that's kind of like, yeah, I mean, that's my take on what the whole root of it is. I mean, what do you take what's your take on it when you hear it?
You know, I listen to it and I just hear cool riffs and I hear him. I can't understand what he's saying, but I like the way he's saying it. I like that it just sounds like someone in despair and can barely get the words out. To me, that I really haven't put any kind of idea of what the song is about together. But I like that interpretation. That sounds about right. I mean, I got that out of the song by just listening to it without even knowing what he's saying. I get that, yeah. It just sounds like he's in the throes of depression, throes of what the fuck am I doing here? I don't know where I'm going. Yeah, so I get that. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, and actually one more thing I did want to bring up. After we watched the Fix documentary, he obviously elaborates on the whole stalker situation. And it seems so odd now when I think about it, because during one of the lyrics says, I sleep with both eyes open. He's paranoid.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's in any way relevant to that situation.
That probably comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Rock stardom, and became paranoid on drugs. Yeah, so it's a deep song. Too bad you really can't understand what he's saying. But if you were a big fan like we are, or more of him, I guess, in this situation, you actually took the time to figure out what the lyrics are.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. So this clip we're gonna play is kind of just the. I think you edited it down a little bit to kind of show just like the dirty raw guitar into that really cool bridge where it has the harmonica, which is always awesome. Al can really blow a tune on that harmonica, and then he puts the delay and all that shit on there. All right. I blow a tune.
Well,
all right.
Well, that's one of the things I would have wanted to preface, though, too, is that harmonica solo, how unorthodox it is. it's so fitting.
Yeah, I guess because it's bluesy.
Yeah.
I guess that's why it's fitting.
Yeah.
I can dig that. All right. All right, let's go ahead and play this part. I'd say turn it up, but it's probably going to start on a loud part. You might want to start, a little quieter and then turn it up. It's really awesome. All right, here it goes. Filth Pig. Thieves! Excellent intro. That's going to be for our next track, Thieves. The unofficial single from Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste. Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste, yeah. Interestingly enough, I think that's the hottest song in there. I think that's the one everyone thinks of from that album, but was never a single. That's interesting to me. I don't know. Many years later, we were lucky enough to have Fred Durst cover it with Limp Bizkit. And I'm just kidding. That sucks.
What an abomination.
Yeah, I was reading in his book, Al Jourgensen's book, about around 99, Limp Bizkit actually paid Al like $10,000 to come to the studio and bring his mix for Thieves, bring his actual setting, the setting for that vocal, that distortion, because Fred Durst wanted to sound just like Al, and so he said, okay, fine, 10,000, fine. He brings it down, he says, here it is, and he actually has the patch, and it has tape on it, and it says Thieves. This is the one I use every night, this is the one I use on the albums, this is it. It hasn't changed since I first made it. So Fred goes in there and he tries to yell over it, he can't get it right. And he's like, no. And he goes out there and he's yelling it out. Like, this isn't the I want the actual setting for Thieves. And he's like, no, this is it. Look, see the tape right there? This is it. That's what he uses every night. And Fred couldn't get it. And I guess many years later, he still can't get it.
Well, maybe that just speaks volumes, and that should have been a very good reminder for him that he didn't have any fucking talent to begin with.
Yeah, and it was awesome. There was a YouTube clip of Jonathan Davis, Ministry fan, just saying, "Oh God, I hate that Fred redid that song, and I hate it too, and it sucks, because there might be one or two people out there that don't know that's an awesome fucking track, and someone like Fred Durst shouldn't bastardize such a classic, fucking awesome song. Just, it should not be in the hands of Fred Durst. It should stay with Ministry. Anyway, that was just a little rant about that. But anyway, I think the part we picked for this song was just the ending. I don't know. We could go on and on. Every little part of the song's awesome. The little machine gun riff, which I don't know, we never really decided if someone was actually playing that or they just sped up a loop of someone playing a guitar. What do you think?
That's a good question. Or could it have been something like where they just strummed the string once and then they just literally looped? Yeah,
or is there some just badass guitarist and was it Al?
No, luckily enough he employs badass guitarists to play that riff live.
Yeah, but somehow live it never really quite sounds the same,
Yeah.
Like something that makes you think, I don't know, in the studio, did they just, they just on some fucking speedballs and just went ahead and played that track, or did they do some studio magic with that one? I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess I'll just go ahead and say this since we're on topic of the song. Like, to me, like when that riff just is carried by the beat of the song, it's magic.
That dance beat.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. Very interesting. It's topical. I know. What's his name? The samples came from
Full Metal Jacket,
which was director
Stanley Kubrick.
He was a big Ministry fan, and I guess he was introduced to the band from that. He probably said, "Who's using my samples? Listen to the songs," and that's why you'll see Ministry in AI, because he really wanted Ministry to be in that movie. He was a big fan of Ministry, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And the song, I love the one thing that I like about the chorus too is it kind of breaks down and has a big punk-like chorus where it's just a very typical 1-2 beat. Mm-hmm. It's a great changeover, and live it sounds just fucking spectacular.
Yeah, that's a masha right there.
Yeah,
for sure. All right. Well, so we picked the ending. Just to be a little different, I guess. The whole song's awesome. We're just gonna play this fucking ending where it's just, I don't know, the icing on the cake. And so, from 1989, here is Thieves from The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste. Here we go.
You will not kill.
I want peace. You want peace.
I can't hear you. I still can't hear you.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about a little track called Scarecrow from the 1992 album Psalm 69. And this is one of their slower tempo songs. They have a handful of these. It falls into, let's say, if you're going to put a group of songs in this category together, it would be Lava, Nursing Home. I know there's more. I'm not thinking of, I don't know, Leper maybe. I don't know, just one of their, like, this is definitely a Paul Barker type song. I don't know, he loves that kind of just slow droning sound. And this one's, they're definitely gothy Halloween type song. So, what are your thoughts on this track?
Tim, I guess if I actually sat and tried to kind of put it together, I would... Okay, erase that. I mean, whatever I just said, that sounds ridiculous. No, but I, over time, started to think of this as like Ministry's answer to a ballad.
Okay.
Because it is melodic. He, yes, is he hiding behind distorted vocals? Of course, that's Al Jourgensen. But it almost sounds like one of those songs that someone else could sing over. So that's that's kind of what I get a feel of. And unfortunately, I wish I could decipher exactly what he's saying lyrically about the song. Because we can just hear like staring in the face of condemnation, laughter fills the sky instead of rain. I'm not 100% certain what he's talking about. I don't know if he's speaking about like an experience on drugs or...
Yeah, that's how I chalked it up to that. Like, okay, he's describing a trip. It might be deeper. Mm-hmm. Usually it is. Yeah. Usually if I can't figure out his vocals or his lyrics, I just think, oh, he just fucked up. But then I learned later on he actually always has something smart behind it.
And that's one of those things that if you're a fan of rock music, heavy metal, industrial, whatever you want, like, I don't think he ever truly gets enough credit for what he wrote lyrically, because he doesn't. Okay, his later lyrics are much more direct and maybe much more punk oriented, but there were times he actually used to almost speak in riddles, or he would use metaphors, for things. And and this is probably one of those songs, because when you first look at it, you're not really too sure what he's talking about, but it's the fact that the music itself is so badass. Just that intro with that record loop, or I guess you would just call it just the sound of a record like starting to
skipping.
Yeah, it's and then once that beat kicks in, you know, then you have like the actual like crow in the background echoing, and the like I guess the stereotypical villain laugh, and I don't know, for the longest time I used to think one of the effects was like a door creaking open, but just now looking back at it, it definitely sounds like it's an effect on the guitar. I don't know if it's maybe a pick scrape or just sliding on the strings.
What part are you talking about?
I mean,
okay.
That's terrible interpretation of it, but when I went back and listened to it recently, that's definitely like an effect on the guitar with a bunch of ways.
Okay.
But it just, I don't know, it's just a good song from start to finish. Like, it was like an 8-minute song. When to most people, just kind of like, all right, I'm ready to change after 30 seconds, you know, because it's not going to change up. It's like, dude, seriously, you know, like, put your ego, like, just check your ego, like, at the side of the door right here, and just, like, give this song a listen. I will say this about any song we're talking about in this countdown, that if you listen to them as a whole, because we're choosing, in our opinion, the best songs, and I don't think we're too far from what the general consensus would be. Yeah. These are really good songs from start to finish.
I'll agree. Yeah, we're picking really great songs. One thing I will say about Ministry, I find they have great songs, but not great albums. It's hard for me to say as a hardcore Ministry fan. I can't listen to one of their albums all the way through. Have you ever been able to do that? I kind of pick and choose the best ones. But I can't say all the way through any of their albums are great from start to finish. I don't think they ever achieved that, in my opinion.
I mean, I'm still trying to find a song from the album Relapse that I actually give that much of a damn about. But yes, I get what you're saying.
Well, yeah, I think our taste, our love for Ministry kind of tapered off about from
2006, 2007.
Well, we loved. No, it was a fucking
it was the Last Sucker.
The Last Sucker.
Well, that was 2007. That's when, like, well, and I mean, this is one of those things we'll eventually have to, kind of recap on another conversation. But that's pretty much where Al, I think, surrendered the writing duties over to whoever else he was working with.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. Was he on a beer haze or something? I don't know. We just love his old mixing style, and it just became just this really mid-rangey rock metal-ish style that we stuck with Ministry like hardcore through House of the Mole and Rio Grande Blood. We're like, yeah, they're fucking back, and we were, we had the shirts, we were blasting them in our cars, we were, telling everyone how awesome they are. So it's not like we're fair with our fans. It's just, I don't know. We couldn't be that loyal. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
If anything, if we were fake, we would have said we love The Last Sucker. We love From Beer to Eternity.
I'll admit though too, that's better than Relapse. There are at least some better songs on there. Like, Fairly Unbalanced has kind of grown on me. I think maybe more or less I like the satire.
Okay, yeah. There's fun stuff in there, but it sounds to me like Al Jourgensen drunk on a couch writing songs. He's watching Fox News, or he's, he just has these little bit of a rant. He used to be, like anti-hardcore government, anti-president. Now he's just kind of like bitching slightly. Maybe that should be the album title of like Relapse, is just bitching slightly, or even Beer to Eternity. I don't know. He has way more power in his earlier albums, and I can't do it. Maybe in the future I will. I don't know. I'm still that same way with Nine Inch Nails. I fell off around the Fragile. I still give their older stuff a chance, but still doesn't have that same effect. I'll leave it alone. Let's drop that. That's a different rant.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I know I had something a second ago, but
Sorry.
But you know what though? Perhaps we are getting off topic and appreciating Scarecrow for what it is.
Okay, let's just go ahead and play an awesome track. Did we get the in this edit? I don't know. We'll have to go listen to it. But that awesome harmonica sound was like You know, it just blares over the speakers. It sounded to me like the little clip from
The Exorcist 3.
Yeah, where it would, the fucking statue with ghost moves. Alright, let's go ahead and listen to that. We got off on a rant, and here it is.
They live without hope. They live without hope.
Alright, let's go ahead and hit an album we haven't touched yet. Not the most popular album, but it's sandwiched in between some really great albums. Animositissimina, which is animosity backwards and forward mixed together. Something Ministry likes to do. They're just cool like that. All their song titles, album titles, their graphics, their images, their concerts, everything's really creative. Of course, they always have to have a creative name. Maybe not so much in their later days with like From Beer to Eternity, but we're talking about old school Ministry, and this is from 2003. All right, well, you know, you don't have to shake your head because we're on audio here, but you can help a brother out here.
Well, you just seemed like you still had something to say.
That's okay. Help me out. I keep tripping over myself here. All right, so we're gonna pick a song. For this album, it's really the first 3 tracks. And when we saw them live promoting this album, they played the first 3 tracks, the fucking really hardcore songs. This album is when they were boasting how they blew the speakers out and when they're recording it and their monitors out because it's just so fucking loud, and it is really fucking loud. It's just god damn, like the snares are just, you can't tell what's louder, the guitars or the snares. It's a really great album, but we're gonna pick a song that's not one of those 3. What's the song called?
Leper. It's the last track. It's actually an instrumental.
Okay, it's definitely a Paul Barker song. We saw it in a little YouTube clip, him playing the bass track and then using a mirror with a razor blade to do the little rhythm part, and he used a little toy piano to do the little weird saxophone sounding part, which that's what I thought it was at first, was a saxophone, but it's just a little fucking kid's toy. What are your thoughts on this song?
Well, just going on the heels of what you just mentioned about the effects that they used, the razor blade on a mirror. I mean, yeah, I would have never suspected that's what it was. I just thought it was just kind of a flat hi-hat, and of course, just making reference to the child's toy to simulate the sax noises. I mean, once again, that goes to show that there has to be creativity behind the board.
Yeah.
Because obviously, we didn't even know that.
No. And that's Paul Barker being old school, even though they're getting away from the industrial sound. It was the whole idea of creating new sounds to in place of a snare or in place of a guitar or anything. I don't know. It was kind of what Trent was doing on the Fragile. He's like, all right, well, I don't want to use the same bag of tricks. I want to do something different. So Paul was still following that formula where he's like, well, I don't know, let's go in the studio and I'm going to bring a spoon and a Chef Boyardee can and see what kind of sound that makes when you hit them together. And then I'm going to loop it and sample it. And that's fucking industrial to me. It's just about coming with different sounds. But this particular track, while the whole bass line and the mirror razor blade part is awesome, all of a sudden the song turns into this fucking badass Ministry riff.
Yeah, and that's right there. That's an Al Jourgensen riff. There's no way like anyone could deny. and I think we've talked about this so many times about what his setup is in the studio. Like, that just obviously has to be like a wall of Marshalls.
Well, yeah, okay, I'll agree with that. Yeah, it's not going through a Line 6 little studio, program. That's probably one of the last sounds of just pure raw Marshall sound. He woke Al out of a stupor and said, "Hey, I need you to play a riff," and he's like, "All right, I can do that." And then so here's that part. Maybe the drums are a little weak on it. Like, if I were going to remix this song, I would change up the drums a little bit, EQ them a little different. Well, that's just my thought on it. But other than that, yeah, this riff is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, I mean, and it is kind of funny because the song itself is probably almost 10 minutes. It's just like it's a very hypnotic, like 10-minute loop. But I do feel that the payoff is once the main riff kicks in, and at that point you've got other effects that eventually come in over, in layers. But it's like, I mean, really, you're just focused on the guitar because the guitar is so prominent in the mix.
What song am I thinking of on Mind is Troubled Thing to Taste, where it's just the bass loop with the bees?
Oh, a Cannibal Song.
Cannibal Song, something like that, yeah. That song fucking rules. He sampled what sounds like bees, but put it to a rhythm, and then it just has this bass line that just kind of,
And how fitting that you mentioned that song, because I think notes are pretty close to each other from both songs.
Yeah.
And I mean, and like as you're saying, they're just looped. And I feel like he used a very similar tone.
Yeah.
Where it's very trebly, and you can tell there's a lot of emphasis on the attack whenever he picks.
Yeah, even though Paul Barker is very just simple with his bass lines that they just repeat, he can hear that. Okay, I got a cool part, and I'm just gonna keep playing this part or loop it, whatever he wants to do. And it just he just keeps building onto that, and that's a lot of Ministry songs where you find something cool, loop it, add some effects to it, add another guitar part to it. So that's what this one is, and so we sit through that, and that's awesome, and then it takes us to another level, and here's this really cool riff track. Not one of the best, but I don't know, it gives us a boner.
Yeah, it does, but it stands out on its own. And, you don't have to be a fan of this album to not appreciate just this part when it kicks in.
All right, let's go ahead and play that part right here. Here we go. Yes, that was a badass Ministry moment. And so we're going to continue this list, which is going to be a top 20. So we're going to hit a song from Psalm 69. This is TV2. Very, very interesting original track. Minus Al Jourgensen, which is fine. He took a break here and there. This was a Chris Connolly track. But more than that, the most interesting part of the song is that sped up, really cool guitar loop thing they do. It's really fucking awesome. It just really holds the album together as far as, everything is just so heavy metal and punkish. And this one just is confusing because it's punk, it's fast, it's speed metal, but it's done electronically. And this is 1992. It's not industrial. It's in that metal range. I don't know. Whenever I get caught up in I can't describe a song, that's pretty cool because it's hard to describe this song. Let's see if you can do any better. I sure can't.
Yeah, I mean, just to sit here and try to describe it in words, there are really no words for the song. It's literally just drums, bass, guitar, and a lot of samples from television with the sound effect of remote changing channels. And which is kind of odd. I mean, a little like weird factoid about this song is actually this is I guess I would say a revision of a song called TV Song, which is a B-side on the Jesus Fill My Hot Rod single.
Oh, really? I don't remember that one. I'll have to go back and listen to that.
Yeah, it's almost identical with I think the difference is the drums and the intro.
So, which came first?
The TV Song.
Okay. TV Song, which was off of the single, which came out before the album.
Yeah.
So we're not. You don't really know for sure what came first.
Well, the single for that was the introduction to the Psalm 69 album. Was the Jesus Fill My Hot Rod single.
Yeah, but usually they release singles with the album finished, and then they pick and choose. So,
well, and this is going back old school, when they would release singles first to at least get some radio airplay. They would send those to the radio station.
But they usually don't do that before an album's finished, or maybe they do, I don't know.
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't give you a definite timeline on that.
Right.
But,
so that's not a fact, but that's your thought.
But no, I mean, but it is, okay, that's my factoid about the song TV2, that the original version.
It's perhaps a remix, perhaps the original version, but not definitively that was the original, and then this came out.
Yeah, well, the one thing I would say about the drums in the original was they sounded like they tried to use a more live-esque kit as opposed to the kit they use in the Psalm 69 version.
Yeah. There's actually one live version released on the Psalm 69 with that B-side CD in it. It was a double disc.
Yeah, and unfortunately, my mind is drawing a blank. Where's the iPod when you need it?
Oh yeah. But that's really cool. They played that live. It's Chris Connolly, and that's just as good. But this album version's definitely better.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What part did we pick from this song? If I were to guess, we just kind of picked a random loop of that really awesome riff.
Possibly the part where Chris Conley screams something. Was it "Tell me something I don't know"? Tell me something I can't use. Push the button, connect the goddamn dots.
Yeah. Okay. That's probably the best part of it.
Oh yeah, and yeah, for the most part, that seems to be the recurring theme for a lot of these TV songs he does.
So yeah, they appeared later in House of the Mole with TV. WTV. Yeah. So.
And
was this an Al mixed song? Even though he didn't appear on it, was this one he mixed? Because he seems to have that recurring theme with the machine gun mixing, where it's just like.
I think so. It has that, I guess. Well, now over time, getting to know different programs and stuff has that TV glitch feel.
Okay.
That's for the mixers that are listening.
Well, that's a new school program that does that, but back then they didn't have that. Lord knows how many days they spent
chopping it up.
chopping. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we can use that program. But okay, let's get off that. That's for the mixers out there. DB Glitch is a fucking awesome program. We could write that song in 2 seconds with that fucking program. But anyway, back in the day, they had to spend many moons working on that song, and it's awesome. It's way better than, say, WTV. It just
it just introduced that style of ministry that we had not heard yet, because you hear that in other songs that we will talk about in this countdown. Just the way you just have that we'll start and finish at the clip, then up to the next clip, where it definitely sounds like some guy went there and just cut the pieces, and then it sounds very much cut and paste.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. We'll describe it. Let's describe it. But all right, let's go ahead and play this clip. This is TV2 from Psalm 69.
Way to succeed. I'm ready to succeed. Stop it!
You lying through your teeth! You lying through your teeth! Who, what, with, why, who, when did you say the earth was up today?
All right, let's play a track from an album we haven't touched yet. It's from Dark Side of the Spoon, another controversial album. It's lumped with Filth Pig as one of those alternative sounding, 2 experimental albums, 2 non-ministry albums, but definitely falls into our love of ministry, because we were fans kind of later on, definitely in the 90s. It definitely hit our radar, so we definitely love their old school metal sound. That's fucking awesome. But we also love Filth Pig, and we love Dark Side of the Spoon, and we don't give a fuck what anyone else says. And so let's hit. We're gonna play the hardest fucking ministry track from that album, and that is Supermanic Soul. And why we love this song is that it is their heaviest song on the album. Maybe Bad Blood is, maybe, but I don't think so. When I turn up the tracks on this album, Supermanic Soul hits the hardest. That Bad Blood to me is mixed way too much. They spent too much time in the studio on that one. Paul Barker, he just needed to calm down with that one, in my opinion. But Supersonic Soul was just very straightforward, just heavy riff, just a fucking punk beat, but it just goes in so many different directions. Why do you think you love this song off this album?
Well, this song itself is it's got a great. The riff is just great. And it was one of those things when I first heard it, I wasn't sure how to take it, and I will kind of preface that this was the first new Ministry album we heard as fans, because when we got into them, Filth Pig was already out. So this was the first new album. I remember we were actually waiting with bated breath for this album. I remember we actually went to Sam Goody and picked up the CD the day this came out. So that kind of gives you an idea of when we really kind of fell under the Ministry spell, whatever you want to call it. But just listening to how much they really just mess with the mixing. Okay, you have the distortion is unlike anything I've heard up until that point.
Distortion for the chorus, where it's just that really, really rough sound. I think it's bass distortion. It's the bass that's distorted in that part. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and even the guitar riffs are it's like they shred, but they're not like your typical heavy metal shreds. It's just, I mean, to me, it's like, okay, you hear that, and that's not what you're gonna get out of your fucking Stratocaster.
Yeah, and Al's vocals on this one is interesting. The way I would describe it is he used his usual settings, he just turned off the distortion. So he's got that flanger-sounding alien sound, and without the distorted delay. And I think he was kind of running with that. There's a few different songs with that sound on it. It didn't last long, but at least for that era, he was trying to do that. I thought that was pretty cool for that song. And it's very punky sounding, and you can hear more of him in it, even though he's a little flanged out there. But so I think for this song we just picked the usual part, that fucking riff, which is heavy as shit, and you gotta turn it up. Do you have anything else to add about this one?
Yeah. Just
and here we go with the song. I'm just kidding.
just talking about the song too. Once again, and I'll say this every single time. Any song we discuss, I must insist that you actually hear from start to finish, because you get a better grasp on why we chose these moments in the song. But on the topic of Superman X Soul, I have to say these are some of the funniest lyrics I've ever heard of a Ministry song.
Alright, well, that's going to be news to me on this one, because I'm not sure what he's talking about. I just listened to it for the riff. Okay, go ahead.
Well, one of the things he says, like, what is it? It's the brutal smell of death. Mm-hmm. This is right, it's like, just when it really starts to kick in, it's like, one of the things, he says, like, I put a stop to his Looney Tunes.
Okay.
I gunned him down in the record room. It just...
That's how I interpreted that lyric. I didn't... Is that what he is really saying? I put a stop to his Looney Tunes.
Yeah, something along the lines of that. So it's like...
I can dig it.
Yeah, so it's right before the chorus kicks in, he's literally singing, I put a stop to his Looney Tunes, I gunned him down in the record room.
Fucking hell, yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Alright.
Maybe that creates just just a newer found appreciation for the song, because it's like, however you want to take it, it just goes with it.
Okay, cool. I thought I was putting stupid ass lyrics in my head to something deeper, but if that's what his actual lyric is, I like that much better, and that's cool. Okay, well, so let's put a stop to this Looney Tune, and let's go ahead and play this track. We picked probably the best part, I'm sure. And here it goes. Superman X Soul.
Dark Side of the Spoon, 1999.
Okay. Damn, it's hard to just listen to the clips because you just want to hear the full song. It just makes you want to go and turn that shit up, listen to the full song. But we're just doing a few clips here of our favorite parts of these songs. So let's go ahead and stay in the same realm. Something else from Filth Pig. I think it's pretty odd that we're not just hitting the hits and the earlier albums, which most Ministry fans would do, but this one's from Filth Pig, and it's a cover of a Bob Dylan song called Lay Lady Lay. And I think it was supposed to be like their first official single, because I remember buying a single, or did you bought the single for this?
Yeah, I do have the single for that.
Yeah, I think that was released before the album. And so I remember that had a Lay Lady Lay and Brick Windows. So they didn't know how to market this album, so they picked like Lay Lady Lay, the cover, and then they hit Brick Windows, which is the most Ministry sounding song on that album. Still a good song, but very odd choice, I think. But I really, really love this song. I love I really don't describe it, because you get the Ministry vocals played to a nice little bass riff, and he uses his thieves fucking vocals on it. It's just really cool. I think on the part we picked for this was the bridge, where he really lets go of his Ministry style thieves vocals. Do you have anything to talk about on this song? Or?
I know I said earlier about Scarecrow being like Ministry's answer to a ballad. This is probably more or less their representation of a ballad. Granted, it's a cover song, but it is very melodic. I think with all the components, you have the acoustic guitar, you have like the electric guitar with the wah in there. You have
Paul Barker playing his bass.
Yeah, I mean, even though, yes, Al is using his distorted vocals and all that delay, he's actually carrying the tune in his voice.
Yeah, that's another element of it. I think it's interesting. He's using those same effects, but in this one he's actually singing. And he loves his singing, he loves this style of music, and I think he really shows that in his Buck Satan and the 666 Shooters album. And there's like YouTube videos of him covering Grateful Dead, and you could tell he just really loves to sing in this style, but he sticks to his Ministry roots and he doesn't cover it up, or uncover, I should say, his vocal stylings in the song. And I just think that's really interesting. I think it's really cool. Don't really have much to add other than this is just a really fucking awesome song. Off of Filth Pig, 1996. Here is the bridge of Lay Lady Lay. Okay, this list is the top 20 Ministry badass moments, and we can't leave off this song. It's called Rio Grande Blood from 2006. The album's called Rio Grande Blood. So this song is pretty fucking heavy. It's the first track, and the riff is definitely an Al Jourgensen riff. The part we actually cut out is the bridge, which has that really cool old style Ministry machine gun riffing, editing. So what do you think about this song?
Yeah, the intro definitely reminds me of prior works, like anything from the TV series, basically. But there's a lot of cut and paste, and he definitely utilizes that when it comes to portraying George W. Bush as a megalomaniac. But on topic of the bridge, like what I get from that is this very epic sound, because you have the kick drums playing really fast, then you can just hear like the oil drills, you hear like jihadis, just screaming in the background, and then you have like all the talk of Halliburton. It's funny because it's maybe not so much funny, but it definitely reminds me of why I fell in love with Ministry. But the fact is that they were so provocative.
Yeah, and we're definitely hearing a great Al Jourgensen riff throughout. We just picked this little part because that's probably the best epic, as you say, part of the song. But yeah, it seemed like for a while we would hear a lot of Tommy Victor. And we can't say definitively this is Al Jourgensen, but we know Al, and this is fucking Al riffing. And that certain bridge part, it just has so many layers on it, and it's just that fucking part you just have to turn up because you can't hear everything going on unless it's blowing out your speakers. So what do you think? You just want to go ahead and play it, or you got more to add about it?
I think we just have to let the part speak for itself.
Alright, here we go. A really badass Ministry moment. Get ready. Here it goes. our next song is called Lava. It's from Filth Pig. It seems like we picked a few tracks from this album, more than most, I would think. But whatever. We just really love this album. So this song in particular, it just has this really bass-driven riff going with this awesome beat, and it goes on and on, kind of like Nursing Home or Scarecrow or Leper or what am I thinking of from? I always forget it. Minus Something to Taste. Cannibal Song. It fits in that genre. Man, I just really love. In my car, I would blast this song all the time. It just mixed so well, and it just has a really cool vibe. So we kind of, I know you did some editing on the song to kind of really accentuate the best parts into a small little clip. So what are your thoughts on this song?
Well, as you were saying about turning it up, this is definitely one of those songs that puts your subs to work.
Subs, yeah, it's mid-rangey, but yeah.
But I mean, the kick itself is powerful enough. But it is hypnotic. It's one of those songs where if you ask me what the song's about, I still can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Maybe Al will take that to his grave or something.
Well, I think that's the why I like it so much, or the part of the charm of it is that it's it doesn't really matter what he's talking about. It just sounds like somebody that is man, I really can't describe it. Obviously, I'm lost for words, but otherwise, it's just a really fucking cool track. And that's the only way to really describe it. And the vocals are just kind of like part of the music experience. It doesn't really have to mean something. It's okay. It's bass driven. It's got a cool beat, and the vocals are just there to make it cooler. And what the fuck it's about, I don't know. What the fuck's about?
I mean, you're asking the wrong guy.
All right.
But either way, though, too, the song itself is an experience.
Experience, eh?
Sorry, not to sound profound or anything like that. It's a great song. That's what it comes down to. It's one of those things. That's like one of the very few times I can say I understand people who listen to like garbage in clubs. They're like, oh, it's all about the beat. Okay, you know what?
Yeah.
Fine, I'll agree with you only because I like the song Lava.
Okay, yeah. Something you just listen to. Hey, it has a good groove.
Yeah.
This is a good groove song. Cool. I can agree with that. Alright, so here's your pretty cool edited little mix track of Lava. One of my favorites. Probably, I don't think that's agreed upon by most people. You talk to most Ministry fans, and they're not going to say, yeah, Lava's on my list. But, fuck it. Here it is. Now it's your favorite. Lava. Have you seen the movie The Hurt Locker?
Yeah.
Okay, it features a few songs by Ministry, and the context is just right. It's listened to by our soldiers over there in Iraq and Afghanistan, and Al has said that many soldiers say they will listen to Ministry songs while dropping bombs, and they get a rush from it. What really isn't what Ministry's about, but he will support the troops. I don't think he's saying that's not what it should be for, but that happens. And so in that movie, you hear a great great representation of like Khyber Pass is what we're talking about right now. At the very end, the end credits, it's a different mix, but it has that really cool part where you have to kind of sit through that mumbling from the Arabic mumbling. I don't really like that part so much, but then when it kicks in, it's just really fucking got this really fucking epic fucking feel to it, and they recognize it obviously in the movie because it's just loud and it's a topical. I can't say I love that song, but like something like Leper, you got to sit through some like stuff. Sit through a lot of blah blah blah, and then you get to the good part. And with this song, you have to fast forward through a lot of blah 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 for me, and it hits this really fucking epic, hardcore, cool part. And so that's why we have this on our list. It's a badass moment. Have you ever enjoyed this song? Or
yeah, I think it's one of those songs that, if I do remember the last time we saw Ministry live, they did play this song.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, yeah, the intro is a bit long. I get it; it's supposed to be a build-up, with the whole tom roll and whatnot, which is fine. Yeah. I guess it's just when it comes down to it. I guess if you're looking for something to rock out, that's not the part that rocks out. So when it kicks in, it makes up for, I guess you would consider the just very tiresome intro. And that's not necessarily Liz Constantine's fault. That she's the girl that did the vocals on there.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Factoid number 175. I don't know. But yeah, when it kicks in though too, and then once Owl's vocals kind of take charge, there is this funny little thing we think we've always discussed amongst each other is like, was Al drunk when he did the vocals on this? Because he seems he seems very slurry. And this is also the title of the song is very interesting too, because he's actually talking about a portion of Pakistan. I guess where Bin Laden was known to be hiding at one point. And then he also talks about too in the song, and this is where if you're one of those like conspiracy theory nuts, you could take the lyric any way you want. And what's the lyric now? Some say he's hiding at the Khyber Pass. Others say he's at the Bush's ranch. So yeah, obviously right there he's having a bottle of bourbon with George and Dick Cheney and his dad and all that. Watching the world go up in flames.
Our plan worked.
Yeah, exactly. Now, granted, I don't subscribe to that kind of bullshit. That's just that's too deep for me. But to stay on topic with the song, it's just a great I guess breakdown. It's very epic. It's a little slow, but it's appropriate. It just works with the whole tempo and the mood.
It's got a good groove.
Yeah.
Good heavy groove. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really awesome. Let's go ahead and play that clip. This is Khyber Pass from Rio Grande Blood, 2006. Ministry, fucking rules. Here we go. Okay, let's move on to Just One Fix. Probably their biggest hit. I don't know. Do you think so?
Off Psalm 69. That's a pretty debatable one, but it is, I think, one of the more powerful ones, for sure.
Okay, yeah. It's their heaviest hitter. I don't know. I'd say if you look through their greatest hits, it's probably their biggest hit, I would guess. It's their most known song. Alright, so we're picking a clip from the 12-inch singles release, which is, you have to be a big Ministry fan to really know what that is. But do you know the history of the greatest hits 12-inch singles album?
Yeah, I mean, I first heard it on a compilation disc called Remixes and B-Sides that I picked up at a store. But that mix is actually found on the Just One Fix single.
Okay, so it's not too obscure.
No,
I wasn't sure.
it's like an expanded version, basically, of the mix that's used for the music video.
Alright, yeah, because in the video you hear that guitar riff in the intro, and I always wondered what that was from, and then I heard this version, I was like, okay, there it is, okay, I get it. This is probably the original mix, I would guess, and it was cut down for the album. I don't know, but it just sounds like it was probably the Ministry style mixing where, it kind of went on, and they love to have that never-ending groove. But maybe someone at Warner or themselves even were just like, well, we have to cut this down and make this just a song. This isn't going to appeal to the masses. And then when the cut down version obviously was, for the video. So, alright, so you chose this version because...
Well, I think the guitar, it's to me it sounds like it's pretty close to the exact same recording they used in the album as far as the guitar sound goes, but I don't know, maybe the way it's mixed here, it just sounds clearer, and so it just stands out more. I think the drum kit that they used in this mix just sounds better, it hits harder. There's a lot of little nuances throughout the mix that I find kind of appealing, and you have to really have an ear for just paying attention to these really minute details. I wish I could explain them, but I don't think I have the words that'll justify.
Alright, well, but you picked this clip from the 12-inch mix because it has the extended intro, but you like this extended intro because it has...
It's got a lot of weird noises, and I think to me, it sounds the most industrial of all of the versions of the song because it just has a lot of chaos. There's a lot of sampling. You're hearing, they actually loop one of the streams from Kirsty from Hellraiser 2 in there. You actually hear quite a bit in the intro as opposed to just the one time.
Okay, that's a good factoid there. You found that? You found that sample in a movie, and you're sure of that?
Yeah, I actually, at one point, I wanted to find out where they were getting a lot of stuff, and as we mentioned in Thieves, that they sample from Little Jack a lot. He sampled Hellraiser 2 quite a bit as well.
Okay, cool. Alright, so we edited this down a little bit, just to kind of show the greatest parts of the song. I think we just faded out when the vocals kicked in. Everyone knows this song. It's great. I think we just want to accentuate this intro into the song. It just makes it's really fucking cool. Let's just go ahead and play it, and you can decide for yourself. Here it is, Just One Fix from the 12-inch B-Sides.
From the Just One Fix single.
Okay, we'll call it that.
Yeah.
So here it goes. Okay, in case you didn't feel like showing up, we have a track from that probably their first live album, entitled "In Case You Didn't Feel Like Showing Up." I find this one pretty fucking cool, hard hitting. It's the Missing from the Land of Rape and Honey, but because it has this loud live sound to it, it just hits really hard. It's really cool. It's a classic Ministry song. As far as this song goes, I just love the intro. I love just the drums. It's just fucking mechanical drums, but it just hits fucking hard, and I really love this song. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely what people would call like the vintage Ministry lineup live, because I think this particular tour, Martin Atkins was playing drums, and you could tell that they triggered a lot of the noises they were using in the studio.
So was it Martin Atkins? Was he playing drums on this, or were they playing a loop?
He was one of the live drummers for this tour.
All right, I don't know. When I hear this version live, it doesn't sound like a drum to me. It sounds like they are playing the loop from the album, but it's done live. It's got that full sound, but it still sounds mechanical to me. You're saying you think it's a real drummer?
Yeah, because I mean, I remember like this tour, they had two drummers on stage, and so maybe one of them is actually just cueing the triggers and just hitting pads.
Okay.
Because I mean, that would probably make sense to to trigger the particular samples that they were using for the kit.
Okay.
That way, then you layer it with a live kit.
What I'm talking about is like the Thieves, the live version of Thieves. That's totally a drummer, and he's putting his own take on it. He's adding little fills here and there. Mm-hmm. But to me, this sounds like they're just playing that loop live. I don't hear like, okay, so it's a drummer playing the triggers, but that's hardly live. I mean, if you're there, it's cool because you see someone triggering. Yeah. But as far as this mix goes, I don't hear a live drummer. Do you disagree?
It did very much maybe that. I mean, obviously, I think it's also just the way it's mixed. It's probably a better idea of what people over there for that tour were hearing. And that's the I guess you'd say the negative side about live albums is once those things go into the studio, they fix everything that went wrong on stage.
Yeah, true.
And which to a degree it kind of kills the feel of what the band was hearing. But I mean, if you like just sound from a production standpoint, like you're gonna probably prefer the live album.
I think I like a lot of the Ministry live stuff on their earlier stuff because it just sounds like it's mixed better, because the earlier stuff obviously is 80s mixing on their fucking 8-track or whatever, and I mean they did well with what they had, but they didn't really release any newer updated mixes, maybe so Rantology kind of, but at the same time with an album with the song like The Missing, there was no remastered track of that. And when I hear their live stuff like Thieves, The Missing, there's Land of Rape and Honey, it just sounds like an updated mix, even though it's not remastered, but you hear a different version that's louder, better quality than the album. So that's why I like this version a lot. So in case you didn't feel like showing up, here it is, The Missing. Okay, if you like Paul Barker's throbbing mid-range bass sound, you can't go wrong with Cannibal's Song from The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste, 1989. It's if you don't know like, right offhand what we're talking about, just think of bees mixed in rhythm.
Yeah, or even maybe a swarm of flies as well too. Just basically just flying insects.
It could be something, a totally different sample that we have no idea what. To us, it just sounds like flies, bees, mixed to a cool rhythm. With an awesome bass line, awesome drums, good snare. Chris Connolly on vocals. I'm not a big fan of his vocals on this song. To me, it kind of ruins it. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Like as far as this, like we're talking about the sound of like bees or flies. I would love Al to elaborate on where the source of the sample came from. Like, were they maybe were they backstage or were they somewhere and they just saw like a pile of rotten meat and just put like a recorder up to it because there was like a swarm of flies there. Or did maybe maybe they had like this great adventure. They went with beekeepers for one day. I mean, you've been being silly about this, but I would love to know where that sound came from. Because to me, like that is a very big part of that song.
Well, there's not much to it, and that's definitely a big part of that song. Yes. I don't know. Do you know anything about the lyrics? Why they call it Cannibal Song?
I mean, how is it? Was it The Other Night? Lobotomized? All I know is Chris Conley keeps using the term infant mind all the time. I don't know. Unfortunately, I haven't looked at the lyrics on that song in a very long time. It's another one of those Ministry anomalies where you're like, okay, unfortunately, I can't decipher what this motherfucker is saying, so I'll just stick with the groove. And also too, I think I mentioned it during the Just One Fix discussion that this was another song that utilized a sample from Hellraiser 2. Where he says the mind is a matter. That's actually when that doctor is, I think he's doing brain surgery or something. Okay, I forget exactly, but I think it's the doctor that eventually becomes like the head Cenobite. That's him speaking.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
That's a good thing, like there's a quote like, or take clips of Pinhead when he's a good guy in there. That just wouldn't work for the song. But no, it's one of those songs where I think my mind was open to it so much more after doing acid, because I think at one point I remember hearing that song on acid, and it's one of those songs where like you forget how much shit is going on in that song, and all of a sudden like everything is just so much more pronounced, and maybe because of that I can look at it with a certain frame of mind, and unfortunately some of these songs will not be meant for the average listener. They're just gonna say like, what's this mishmash? It's like you just have to go into a zone.
Most people, when they hear the song, the average listener, like, wow, does this just kind of keep doing that same thing over and over? That's what I've heard. But I don't know. That's kind of the cool part of Ministry, where it's also if you have more time on your hands to listen to music, and you just hear more and more going on as you listen. You hear certain samples, certain I don't know, something different every time you listen to it, and you just kind of like get zoned out. And it's pretty cool, and especially if like you were on acid. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go re-listen to that on some acid. As it was probably recorded on.
It just gives such a different feel. I think maybe like at times I do think that album as a whole is a scary album.
All right.
From the perspective of being on acid.
Okay. That album for me is very hit and miss. I like most of them, but I don't know. There's certain songs that don't quite hit for me. What's the one I'm thinking of with the
Faith Collapsing?
probably?
Is that the one with like the big like tom roll and like the little like kind of groovy bass?
No, I'm thinking of This Is a Test.
Test.
Yeah, okay, Test.
Yeah, Test. Like that's probably the one time they tried to maybe tackle like hip hop.
I guess. Yeah, alright.
Yeah.
And to me, it was just a failure, and I don't ever want to hear that song again.
Yeah. The Cannibal song is I think it's a good representation of what they were doing. That they weren't just this band using machine gun noises. They were about trying anything.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a Paul Barker song. And I guess more and more we go on this list, we keep mentioning him. You know, he might have been a bigger influence than we think.
Yeah.
That Al would let you into believe.
Yeah.
But all right, so we got a somewhat edited version of Cannibal Song to kind of accentuate the least worst of.
Yes, exactly.
The greatest fits.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't listen to this song while preparing meat.
Okay, but on acid, you do recommend it, right?
Very much so.
Okay, so if you're gonna do acid, listen to this. Here, wait. Actually, wait. Okay, take a drop, pause, and then listen.
When the acid kicks in.
Well, yeah. As soon as the acid kicks in, pause here, take the acid, and then hit play.
Yeah.
And here you go. A song that's a little off the path here. This is not a hit. It's probably the least known song off the least favorite album. Maybe. I don't know how to judge that. But Nursing Home from
Dark Side of the Spoon.
Dark Side of the Spoon. Okay, so I've always loved this song. I love the groove of it. I love how it kicks in. The drum just hit really fucking hard, and I love that kind of shit. And the bass rhythm. Not a big fan of the sax in a lot of part of the song. The saxophone player, which I think I read in an interview was Paul Barker's cousin or something, was in a saxophone. He's like, hey, come in the studio and we'll like affect your saxophone, dude. You know, that's kind of bullshit. But a lot of parts, it is cool. I really like Al's. I like the beat, I like the bass, I like Al's interpretation for the song. How he wants to just kind of yell. He doesn't sing, he doesn't scream, he just kind of yells in the song. I like that. That's pretty cool to me. Especially when you're just like cranking it in your car and you know someone notices you're listening to a song with a guy just kind of yelling. You know. It's not punk, it's not metal, it's a dude yelling over some saxophone bass. It's confusing, it's weird, and I like it. That's why I like it. It's odd.
Well, I think you're probably also forgetting the most important part of the song.
What's that?
Is the banjo that's played with the song.
Oh, the banjo, yeah. That makes it even weirder.
Yeah.
Banjo, saxophone, bass, drums.
Yelling.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a very bizarre track, and that's why I've always loved it. And, you know, you could turn up Just One Fix, and it's an awesome metal riff, and everyone recognizes that. Turn up Nursing Home, and people are like, what's going on? I'm scared.
Yeah, it literally, it sounds like, I don't know, like, then, like, another thing, about the song, too, is, the really weird drill noises in the background.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting. We got drills going on.
Yeah, it's not even like the typical like in placement for a drill in an industrial song, because the song has such a very different groove and rhythm. You just kind of hear like these ring,
Like out of nowhere.
yeah.
It's not like sequence.
Yeah.
It's just all of a sudden here's a drill.
I mean, it just sounds like maybe Al was like getting a root canal or something. He sat there once again. He just pulled out his hip, like, "Hey Doc, before you can I sample your drill?" You know, yeah. Okay, so
Or in the studio they're doing some construction.
Yeah.
Like here, let's go ahead and sample that real quick.
Yeah, or was that complete like happenstance that those noises came in? Like maybe they were doing construction while he was singing.
Oh, and there's pig noises, which I think is the saxophone. I think it's when you play the low end of the saxophone, you get like wah, 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 wah.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like pig noises.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of crazy shit going on in this song. That's why I love it. That's why it deserves to be on the list, because it's different. And man, yeah, they sure went for it. I'll give credit to Paul on this one again.
Yeah.
Because it's a bass line with his usual,
He just plays the same thing over and over.
yeah, his usual take on songs where it's just, okay, I got the bass loop going, I got the drum loop going. I'm gonna put some samples on it, and Al, can you wake up and get out of your stupor? I need you to yell. And then he comes out and he yells, and then he goes back to sleep. But
Yeah.
that's not good. We love Al, but there was definitely a time when, especially in the '90s, when he was sleeping and he woke up to record vocals for Paul.
Yeah, basically.
That's my take on it. Maybe it's wrong, but I think I'm right. All right, so let's hear some crazy fucking weird noises sampling. Let's stay away from our synth weird noises and record weird noises from natural surroundings. Here it is, Nursing Home.
Oh, and if you hear any weird noises, I accidentally kick my mic stand.
Oh, and me too. And my chair's creaking. I'm feeling like we should record that and put that into a song.
It doesn't hurt to sample.
Yeah, sure. And the clock back there in the refrigerator. All right. Anyway. From the 1999 album, The Dark Side of the Spoon, we have the most Ministry-esque sounding song, the most Thieves-like sounding song, Bad Blood. And that was their single from the album, probably the one that Warner Brothers was saying, hey, please release this song because we don't know what the fuck else is going on in this album. Please release Bad Blood. It's the closest to what we consider Ministry. It's still a really good song. I don't understand the mixing on the song at all. I think they spent way too much time on it. I played on the best speakers, systems, car stereos, and it just distorts oddly. I don't know what they were going with that kick. It doesn't hit on any system I know of. But so what do you think about that song?
Yeah, it's not. The mixing from that song is so different from any other song on the album, Dark Side of the Spoon. Like, I think maybe there was too much involved in the mastering process, because it feels like the amount of compression and limiting is very prominent in there.
You see that in the video, like they're kind of fighting in the studio about the mixing, and then they have a speaker that's way blown out.
Yeah.
That reminds me of this, that's perfect. I mean, that's what I think of the song. There's too much mixing going on, and they were going for something. I don't know. Maybe it was supposed to be for no, it wasn't the Matrix, right?
Yeah, it was on the Matrix soundtrack.
So maybe they're going for like a movie theaters, maybe they could handle that kind of sound. So okay, maybe that makes sense. But as far as the songwriting goes, that's pretty cool. I think he had his wife singing in the song, right?
The same girl that screams Animosity in the song Animosity and everything. Like any other time there's a voice that we don't recognize as Al's or Chris Conley's, it's probably his ex-wife Patty.
Okay, alright. Yeah, I remember seeing them live in 1999 when we both did.
Yeah.
And she was up there singing with them, and she sang that part, and that's how I kind of realized, alright, so he didn't just up his highs and his EQ.
Yeah.
He brought his woman in there to sing some parts.
Yeah.
But it worked fine. She sounded fine. And the awesome, good song. Pretty cool. Don't have any complaints about it.
No. It's interesting, though. Yes, I find everything interesting, just in case you don't. There's an interview that I read with Al about the album Dark Side of the Spoon, and he was making reference to, he always thought that album was like his greatest hits, because really, I guess, he was basically saying that these were all riffs that he wrote in the 80s, that he was finally using, because he says the first time he ever played the riff for Broad Blood, he played it during like Minds and Tapes. So, I mean, I guess he just had to find some way to modernize it, at the time.
And that sounds like an older Al riff.
Yeah.
For the rest of the album, though, did he say that, or just that song?
He said particularly like that album. He even said that Superman Soul was like. He said you hear elements of like the Missing and Deity and a couple other songs from earlier albums in there. Like, I don't know. I mean, to me, that just sounds like a bunch of strung out heroin jargon that he's saying, because I'm not hearing those songs in that riff.
Okay, use your imagination, but okay, I can hear it. Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, I don't remember exactly what he said was like that riff particularly was referencing as far as old songs go, but that's what it was basically saying. Like, he was just using a bunch of riffs that I guess he wrote a long time ago, just applied into that album. And I mean, unfortunately, not to shit on him, but I know he said it took them over a year to record Dark Side of the Spoon.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if that's, well, and then we've also read in other interviews though too that the result is based on like how fast he could score heroin.
Yeah, you can't say he wasn't fucking Guns N' Roses.
Yeah,
like doing a lot of recording. It was that we were able to record an hour every month because I was strung out and whatever.
Yeah,
not necessarily like all that time went into the music. Okay, that makes sense to me. But also at the same time, they're probably trying to figure out their sound. Like, where are we going? This is 1999, and fucking industrial was non-existent.
Yeah.
It was. Where do we go from here? Basically,
that was just right after Columbine, and so I guess the mention of industrial music or like really in any way trying to promote it was just flat out taboo. But it wasn't taboo in a good way. It was just like, we're just gonna ignore it and exist.
Yeah. So they had a hard time there, and it's understandable. Everyone at that time in the industrial scene had a hard time. You can't even say, Nine Inch Nails didn't have that hard time there. That was definitely, I think, when I hear those two albums, they sound the same to me. Like, they sound like two industrial bands that are working, trying to find different sounds. They want to sound like alternative. They want to use just natural sounds and not just use synth sounding programming. They kind of felt that was on the outs. And so both those albums just sound the same to me. They sound like, okay, let's beat on boxes, let's tap on this to make a sound rather than have a sequence or a synthesizer going, because they just felt like, okay, we gotta stay up with the times, but what the fuck was going on at that time? TRL, Limp Bizkit, Backstreet Boys, it was all terrible.
Yeah, it was like I think the beginning of the overproduced music sound. Like everything sounded like just way too big for what it needed to be. Okay, because even like Britney Spears, her albums, she had that first hit. It was already kind of a big pop hit. And was it that Crazy song? All but these songs that just sound huge. They sound like they were meant to be played in arenas.
It just wasn't a time and place for this underground sound that made it out. Probably because of Nirvana and Kurt Cobain, that depressed sound made it out of the underground. And then when he died, people were looking for another sound, and industrial was it. It was kind of like, wow, because of Nine Inch Nails, like, this is a depressing sound, but it sounds different. And everything from 1996, every band that was still around at that time was starting to get money deals, and it was going around. And then not so much around 1999. I think at that time it was just really rough, and Ministry suffered, Nails suffered. I think Manson suffered, for sure.
I mean, KMFDM broke up that year.
Oh my god. It was a terrible year all around. Okay. So there was no winners from that year. So don't fucking give Ministry any trouble because they released a subpar album in 1999, because you can go back and listen to it, and there's pretty cool stuff on it.
Yeah.
So give it a listen. Listen to Bad Blood if you want to hear old school Ministry. And then on our list, we have a few other songs that are fucking even different, but fucking cooler. And let's do it. Here it is. Bad Blood! Okay.
Unfortunately, I didn't have a comeback for that.
Okay. Well,
Well, yes, we get the idea. Just
we get it. We get it.
Listen for yourself and make your own opinion. Don't listen to like some prima donna says, just listen to the music out there.
And don't listen to the album. It's just fun. Yeah. Alright, here it is. Bad Blood. Alright, we're at the end of this Ministry Top 20 Badass Moments list, and we're going to end it with a song that I think everyone agrees is the baddest Ministry moment, riff, whatever you want to call it. So we've definitely hit the less mainstream songs and all that, and this is definitely the top mainstream moment. We get that, but it's fitting to end this list with this song. We're just gonna go ahead and play the intro to it, because the whole song's cool, but if you want to fucking piss off your neighbors, turn up some volume, add it to a movie where there's some fighting going on, any kind of lists like that, you're gonna play this little part from NWO, the fucking intro to it, where it's just out of this world, fucking heavy.
It's definitely something different from what you heard in Mine Is a Terrible Thing to Taste and albums prior. You have the foundation of what industrial was, and I always like to kind of compare Ministry to Nine Inch Nails, where you have like what Trent was doing in the beginning and Al was doing in the beginning. Okay, so Trent decides to write Broken because he wants this heavy book, and he wants, but he has this heavy ass album that's just like in his gut, and he has some really good shit going. But it's like, I'm sure at one point when he heard the intro to NWO, he had to sit down and was like, all right, I need to take a look. It's just it's a very big like arena metal intro. It's definitely something that you would hear a live metal band play. Although everything you hear in this is all drum machine, it's very much oriented like a live band.
Yeah, I think they took the next level. They were like, well, we're able to mix everything in high quality, high def sound. So we're taking all of the elements of metal and putting it through our machines. And here's what we can do with industrial metal. Here is the standard. Here we can sound louder than you. And it was, and from there, I think it's been recreated, to this day with, Hansel and Gretel. But from then, I think Sepultura even was, with Nailbomb, they're saying, wow, we're fucking heavy, but here's next level heavy. We can, if we mix each individual track, the kick, the snare, every little part, we can just blast the speakers out. And I think that's what they did with this song. And I think it really inspired a lot of hardcore fucking metal, industrial songs. This is the one that started it, I think, to show like, you can have a full 5-piece band that's just fucking hardcore, but with industrial, with the mixing techniques, we can do that, times 10. And that's what I hear, because you turn it up and it never distorts, it doesn't lose any quality, it's just really fucking heavy as shit.
Yeah, and definitely these are all key elements that I think both you and I will agree were instrumental in the early days of the band Screw.
Yeah, that's definitely an influence of this style. Definitely, yeah, for sure. Like if you're wanting to hear some more NWO style songs, you kind of switch over to Screw, because Ministry didn't continue this style throughout the 90s. And with this album, and then after that, Propig and Dark Side. And so we're like, man, I want to hear some more of that really fucking heavy industrial. Well, you kind of look to other bands, such as Screw. And if you don't know Screw, fucking check them out, because that's what they're all about. How heavy can we get metal mixes, push through the speakers? And, if you have a good system, you got a system in your car, they don't disappoint. Yeah. So yeah, check out Screw if you're really wanting more NWO style. So, anything else to add about this one?
Other than badass intro, like, subscribe, check out original Unsound Society material in the future.
Yeah, we're just kind of getting started. We're just having some fun here, doing this kind of podcast. Originally, we're just going to kind of mix these songs together in that top 20 list, but then we're like, we kind of want to describe why we like these parts. And so we have to do this podcast. Obviously, we're not professionals, and we're stuttering and stammering all over the place, and we're not pronunciating correctly, and Al's got drunk off wine and he passed out, and it was all fun. But we're gonna try to get better at this, and so yeah, there's gonna be a lot of cool stuff on the way. Unsound Society, We're a fucking band. We have some tracks out there, some older stuff that we're releasing on the YouTube channel, but we got some new stuff that's coming up that's really fucking cool. We got our mixing techniques down. Back then we were just kind of playing around with karaoke machines and I'm just joking, but well, I'm not joking. In the early days, we're totally into the industrial sound and moving forward into the newer, electronic scene and just trying to mix those sounds together and trying to come up with something really cool. This is our first podcast with folks and trying to sound somewhat professional. We got lots of hum and crap going on. But if this turns out okay, we'll release it, and if you like it, go ahead and like us and subscribe, whatever you want to do. If not, don't hit the dislike button because we know where you are, and we're going to come get you.
And just like Al said, you know what you are.
You know what you are. You know what you are.
Fucking loser.
If you know what you are, just get off of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes.
Get off it.
Yeah, but I mean, no, but we have a lot of other stuff planned. We are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, we're on all major social media outlets. Unfortunately, right now, they're not all ready to go, but I will tell you right now, 2015, we will be here.
We're here. And we're semi-queer. And we're here to stay.
Oh yeah, queer in that non weird sort of way.
No, we're listening back to our vocals. We can't deny that we're a little queer, but we're not full masculine. Yeah. But okay, whatever. It'll come out in our music, and you won't say we're queer at all because it's gonna be fucking hardcore. Yeah, and that's what we're all about.
Hopefully, it won't queer the situation. No pun intended.
That's true. Well, thank you for doing that. And let's go ahead and end this podcast / stupid bullshit from dorks, as we like to call it. All right, see you later. Peace.
Hopefully.